the Democratic Party as a whole. They're going to sit back and say, oh, we know, everybody know that. But why wasn't something done? In their defense, something was done. But they took a whole decade to basically regime change a nation bill with a Democratic president in the name of Lyndon B. Johnson to basically put another 40 to 50 years on the oppression of a race. So this is why, dealing in duality or dealing in a two-party system is political suicide for us. Because no one can speak up and no one can defend the Democratic Party. No one. I mean, I look around. No one will even say I voted for these people. Try to find, Stacey Abrams or Cory Booker or somebody to criticize their party. But see, they were indoctrinated when they were very young and believed in this assimilation. Now, the Congressional Black Caucus does not caucus for Black America. The Congressional Black Caucus is just a black branch of government whose job is to manipulate its people to push an agenda that will further destroy the culture and the race. So this is what we're dawning on. And today is the 4th of March, 2022. So just remember, share this information and please excuse the ads and the commercials because we are monetized and this is how you eat as a podcaster. So, and you do have the ability to fast forward through the commercial. That's fine and all, but we are monetized, but we really have to sit back and look at what's really going on and process it and make a decision that we can no longer live the way that we've been living because they are anticipating a sequel. Okay. And when I say a sequel, just part 2. So my spider sense is kicking in and saying it's not a sequel. They want it to be a sequel, but this movie has been played over and over and over. So they're looking for a sequel, but it's pretty much the same song, the same movie, because the same outcome is death and destruction to a race of people because there's a system that's in place that's automatically working to basically get them to kill each other, get them to argue with each other, get them to not understand and fight. And pretty much they're relying on the crab bucket with no lens. So this is why we have to dig deep and reflect, which is stronger than faith, and make sure that we are not aiding and abetting the demise of God's people. When I say God's people, that means anyone that chooses to be moral, anyone that treats his neighbor better than he or she treats himself, because it's a slippery slope when you say, love your neighbor, more than you love yourself. What if you were suicidal? What if you don't love yourself? What if you will take a pill and kill yourself? What if you take a gun and shoot yourself in the face or the chest? Then you will kill somebody else. So that's very dangerous. So first love is loving God with all your heart, mind, and your soul. Secondly, you have to love yourself as if you are a God walking on this earth. Then you can treat somebody better than you treat yourself. It's a lot of people on this earth that will do more things for other people because they are just waiting for their moment. And sometimes the moment never comes. So pay attention to that. If you are one of those people with the personality that actually do things and willing to help other people, then you really have to map out and steal some time for yourself. Because if you're not at your best, if you're not performing at your apex performance, then how can you be a part of the new frontier for Black America? Because Black America, we're the humanitarians because no one's looking out for the humans. We don't want war in Ukraine. We don't want war nowhere. But it's a bit strange when certain political parties are in office, which could be deceptive because there was no weapons of mass destruction. That was George W. Bush, the son. And they used the Black Secretary of State, Colin Powell, to push this narrative and agenda. Why is it that? Why is it that? Because when you put a black man out there, that means you can, all blacks, understand and agree. You put Condoleezza Rice out there, Republican. So if you look at Joe Biden's cabinet, what's going on? What's going on? So we're going to indulge deeply into what's going on into the world when it comes to American politics, because we have to pay attention to the resources. If you send $600 million to a president of a country, promise that you're going to send them aid and guns and weapons and support them, and then you still buying $22.4 million worth of oil from his enemy, you are actually funding the demise. So what I'm saying is that money could be earmarked somewhere else. See, if we don't have a cohesive plan, if we don't come together and talk and have a plan that they can see and understand. Now, one thing that I do understand, Congress members and members of the House and the Senate, mayors, governors, presidential candidates, they love new ideas. Now, show me where the ideal is for amending the 13th Amendment. Now, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there's programs out there, 1619 Project. I wear the 1619. Spike Lee puts it out there, but nobody really understands. Now, they're talking about, state reparations. Understandable, but it has to be on a federal level. This is why the Constitution must be amended, because of the criminalization clause. And there has to be conversations of people that are non-biased or non-partisan to figure out a way to make sure that the prison investors somehow get loopholes, tax breaks to legitimize their companies by building those factories in communities of color, paying them with the state's minimum wage to legitimize of what's going on. Because then they can have a conversation about critical race in America. Because why would a prison owner want to talk about critical race when his history has been slave owners, private prison owners, private prison profiters? Slavery didn't end, gentlemen and women. Slavery is going on. The state of California puts $90,000 away annually for prisoners. And my reaction to that is, let's have a conversation about providing a $90,000 living wage for at-risk youth to make sure that they don't go to prison. So we have to have these conversations. It's kind of like establishing something that has not been established. Can you believe in 2022 that there is no sound black independent leadership? Anything and anybody, anything and anyone that's black when it comes to race, works for somebody and must answer and do what he or she tells them to do. Just like the Vice President Kamala Harris. She has to go to Poland next week to find a way to talk peace talks. And I'm saying, why are you sending Kamala Harris? Okay, because our vice president is Jewish. Poland. So now the vice president gets to talk peace talks, but we don't know her purpose. I mean, she's not a good communicator when it comes to, having a conversation. I never had seen her have a conversation. I used to look at Mike Pence hold forums. Donald Trump holds forums. But when I see Kamala Harris, they basically reading the script, reading exactly what the handlers have told them to do. The handler is sending Kamala Harris to Poland. Who's ever running the country? Now, I don't know what today is, but yesterday was National Cold Cut Day. But I'm sure there's another day today. But whoever said it was National Cold Cut Day today and whoever said whatever today is, those are the ones making the decisions. We don't see them. This is why we can fight this ghost. We don't have to be scared. We can do what we need to do. But when you talk about a country or a presidential candidate and a country followed behind, just build back better, and we believe in the Democratic Party, now everything has been broke down to the last compound. But by now they're saying, they used to say build back better, America this and America that. OK, but now every option is on the table. Every option is on the table. And these are the options that they're talking about. Oil energy independent, check. Keystone Pipeline, check. Proactive instead of being reactive, check. Sounds like America first. Sounds like make America great again. So when I say proactive versus reactive, we have to assume that every entity outside of these United States of America is a common enemy, and they will be our friend to basically screw us. Look at Zelensky telling us to come over to his country and to pick a fight with a dictator and a bully that's toppling you as we speak. We don't want no smoke here in America. We don't want no bombs here in America. We don't even want the thought of any nuclear or anything, because to keep the world safe, you have to keep your friends close and enemies closer. Now, understanding the law of powers, you have to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. You go see your homeboy. You go see your enemy. That's respect. So since Biden does not have a friendship or any form of relationship with Putin or China, look where we at right now. So clearly he's compromised. He's on record giving $6 million dark money to basically fire the prosecutor that was prosecuting his son. If you don't believe me, Google Biden, $6 million, leaving in an hour to make sure, leaving in an hour. And if they don't stop prosecuting his son, he's going to leave with the $6 million. And he said it himself. Well, goddamn, within an hour, they called and my son, and they stopped, and they stopped prosecuting my son and laughed about it. And I'm sitting back like, wow, that's literally extortion. So now you're sending them 600 million. So did that 6 million investment grow to 600 million? We don't know, but clearly these are some relationships that America cannot be a part of. If you are a cruise line ship that floats and that travels the world, why do you have any dealing with small fishing boats? And when I say fishing boats, I mean irrelevant in the sea. All they can do is just, make sure that they stay afloat, and whatever fish they get, that's for them to eat, versus a big yacht. America is a big yacht, a big cruise line. And we're still trying to make sure all the little boats stay afloat. But as people, we're sitting back looking like, wow, when are we going to get a moment or have an opportunity to take our agenda and our narrative? And I'm going to tell you this, right now is the best time. Because we can use this as a distraction while our elected officials are doing all of this. We can use this as a distraction. Now, look at the similarities between Antifa and the Proud Boys. Here in America, in the George Floyd, I went on record and said, they're burning the candles on both sides, because both are funded by white supremacy here in America. So look at the common denominator. Biden is funding Ukraine and he's funding Russia. Just sent a $22.4 million check today. So that money is being used for Russia to destroy Ukraine, and the $600 million sent to Ukraine is what? What they doing with that? This is why peace negotiations is underway. But you cannot sit back and look at a president in a small country that's already invaded. Look how they're trying to get us involved. It's like trolling. It's like, putting yourself out there to get America to misstep. So now the world can kind of see it and get together, and they want to shoot bombs over here. Now you can, stop Russia from doing whatever you're doing. But until you stop purchasing its oil and energy, until you stop allowing him to make his own pipelines to keep his country afloat, until you make a decision that we're going to pump our own oil, Keystone Pipeline, we're going to be more energy independent. And these Green New Deals that we were talking about clearly was not accurate. Or we're going to, in 2040, we're going to